Some doors don't just open with a key. Some open with respect. And when respect is denied, those doors become battlegrounds. This story begins on a quiet street where wealth whispered from every corner. Manicured lawns, glistening cars, mailboxes that gleamed like trophies. But in the middle of that silence came the sound of footsteps. The footsteps of a young black man who dared to dream beyond the walls people told him he didn't belong in. His name was Andre Linton. And on that day, Andre wasn't just walking toward a house. He was walking straight into a storm that would shake an entire community. Andre adjusted his tie as he stood on the pavement. The house loomed in front of him. 3 stories, modern glass panels, white stone walls, a wraparound balcony that looked like it belonged in a magazine spread. For weeks, Andre had worked extra hours, reviewed his finances, and convinced himself that this house, this symbol, wasn't out of reach. He was a senior engineer at a tech firm, one of the youngest to hold his position. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't chasing a fantasy. He had run the numbers 10 times over. But numbers weren't the problem. Perception was. Andre's chest tightened as a silver Lexus pulled up the driveway. A woman stepped out, tall, sharp cheekbones, platinum blonde hair twisted into a bun. She wore a navy blazer and carried a leather folder tucked under her arm. Her heels clicked against the pavement like a metronome of authority. Her name was Catherine Boyd, Realtor for the Maple Ridge Estates. She didn't smile when she saw him. Instead, her eyes darted down his suit, his skin, then back to his face, pausing just a little too long. Andre extended his hand. "Good afternoon. I'm here for the 3 o'clock showing. Andre Linton." Catherine hesitated before shaking it, 2 fingers limp, quick. "Yes, Mr. Linton. Right. Follow me." Her voice carried that tone, the kind that said she'd already decided who he was. Inside, the house smelled of polished wood and lavender candles. Sunlight flooded the living room, bouncing off marble floors. Catherine walked briskly, heels echoing through the halls, narrating with a rehearsed monotone. "This property is listed at $2.3 million. It features imported Italian fixtures, a chef's kitchen, and floor-to-ceiling windows." Andre nodded, taking in the details, but Catherine's eyes never softened. She spoke like she was presenting to the wrong audience. At the staircase, she finally turned and asked, "So, what exactly is it that you do, Mr. Linton?" Andre straightened. "I'm a lead engineer at Ardent Technologies. Been there 8 years." Her brows lifted, not in admiration but in doubt. "Engineering? Interesting." She let the word dangle in the air like a question mark. Andre forced a smile. "I've done well for myself. That's why I'm here. I want to build something permanent." Catherine's lips curved into a tight, dismissive grin. "Of course. Though, buyers in this price range usually come from, let's say, more established backgrounds." Andre caught the implication. "Not people like you." His jaw clenched, but he swallowed the retort. He'd heard it before, too many times. They stopped in the master suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the hills. A crystal chandelier glittered above. Catherine leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "You know, Mr. Linton, I'm going to be very direct with you." Andre turned, brows knitted. "Go ahead." Her voice sharpened, almost smug. "This house isn't for everyone. It's a serious investment. Frankly, I don't think you can afford this house." The words hit like a slap. Andre froze, staring at her. She didn't flinch. In fact, she seemed satisfied, as if cutting him down was part of her duty. A silence stretched. Then Andre exhaled slowly. "Excuse me?" Catherine's tone turned airy, condescending. "Don't take it personally. I just see a lot of people wasting time, dreaming beyond their means. It's my job to filter serious buyers. And, well, let's just say you don't exactly fit the usual profile." Andre's stomach churned. The chandelier above seemed to sway, its crystals catching the light like tiny daggers. He wanted to leave. To walk out and never give her the satisfaction. But another voice inside him, the one carved by years of dismissals, barriers, sideways glances, told him no. Not this time. Andre squared his shoulders. "Ms. Boyd, let me assure you, my finances are solid. I came prepared. Would you like to see the proof?" Catherine blinked, caught off guard. "What proof?" Andre pulled a folder from his briefcase. Bank statements, pay stubs, pre-approval letters from the bank, all neatly clipped. Catherine's smirk faltered as she flipped through them. Her eyes darted across numbers she hadn't expected. 6 figures. High credit score. A pre-approval amount that more than covered the asking price. Her fingers stiffened on the papers. For the first time, her confidence cracked. "Oh, I see. Andre didn't smile. He held her gaze, his voice steady. You assumed, Miss Boyd. You saw me and decided the numbers didn't matter. But here they are. Real. Undeniable. The room grew heavy with the weight of his words. Catherine shifted, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, but her silence spoke louder than any apology. As they walked back downstairs, Andre noticed someone at the door. A woman, young, early 30s, with a clipboard in hand. She looked like a surveyor or an assistant from the real estate office. Her name tag read, Clara Jensen. Clara had arrived quietly but had caught enough of the exchange upstairs. Her blue-green eyes flicked between Andre and Catherine, confusion written across her face. Is everything okay here? She asked softly. Catherine stiffened. Everything's fine. Just a standard showing. But Andre saw Clara's expression, a mix of unease and sympathy. She had heard. She knew. Andre gave a polite nod. Everything's fine, he echoed, though his tone carried an edge. Clara hesitated, biting her lip, then turned to Andre. If you need anything, let me know. Her voice held a quiet sincerity that Catherine's never had. The showing ended. Catherine's tone softened, but the damage was done. Andre stepped outside, the evening sun casting long shadows on the pavement. He looked back at the house, beautiful, serene, but now marked with the ugliness of what had been said. Clara lingered near her car, stealing glances at him. Finally she approached. I'm sorry for what happened in there. I shouldn't say this, but I've seen Catherine do that before. Not everyone speaks up, but I can tell you she crossed a line. Andre studied her, wary but appreciative. Why are you telling me this? Clara's voice dropped. Because it's not just about one house. There's more going on here. Things you don't see at first. Andre frowned. What do you mean? Clara hesitated, as if debating whether to go on. Her hands tightened on the clipboard. Let's just say, you're not the first buyer she's tried to push away. And some of those buyers looked like you. Andre's pulse quickened. The pattern was clear. It wasn't just prejudice, it was policy. A quiet gatekeeping of who got to belong in Maple Ridge. Andre glanced back at Catherine, still standing by the door, phone pressed to her ear. Her smile had returned, but this time it wasn't for him. Clara leaned closer, her whisper urgent. Mr. Linton, if you really want this house, you need to be careful. Because Catherine isn't just working alone. She's part of something bigger. And if you push against it, you'll be stepping into a fight you don't even know exists. Andre's breath caught. His eyes narrowed at the house, the neighborhood, the hidden walls behind the polished gates. What kind of fight? He asked. Clara looked around nervously, lowering her voice to almost nothing. The kind that could cost you more than just a house. The camera would freeze on Andre's face, anger, confusion, determination burning all at once. That night, Andre lay in his apartment staring at the ceiling. The city lights flickered against the blinds, but his mind kept replaying Catherine's words. You can't afford this house. It wasn't about affordability. It was about belonging. And for the first time he felt the weight of what Clara had whispered. She's not working alone. Andre turned on his lamp and pulled out the folder of financial documents. His eyes scanned the numbers again, solid, strong, undeniable. Yet he remembered the smirk on Catherine's face, the way she had dismissed him before even seeing them. The house wasn't just real estate anymore. It was a test. A challenge. And Andre wasn't about to back down. The next morning, Andre sat in the office cafeteria, sipping coffee between deadlines. His colleague, Maya Douglas, a project manager with a sharp wit, noticed his distracted stare. You look like you wrestled with your mortgage broker all night, she teased. Andre chuckled softly but then told her everything. The showing, Catherine's words, Clara's warning. Maya leaned forward, eyes narrowing. So basically she tried to gatekeep you out of Maple Ridge? Classic. You know that neighborhood's got a reputation, right? Andre frowned. Reputation? Yeah, Maya said. Unspoken but everybody knows. It's one of those places where diversity is a marketing slogan, not a reality. They'll throw a barbecue for charity, but when it comes to selling homes, they suddenly lose listings when the wrong person shows up. Andre's chest tightened. So you're saying this wasn't just her being rude. This is systemic. Maya nodded. Exactly. And if Clara's warning is true, you might be staring at something bigger than just one realtor with an attitude problem. Andre couldn't shake Clara's words, so he called her that afternoon. She agreed to meet at a cafe downtown. Clara arrived in a simple cardigan, her hair tied back, no clipboard this time. She looked nervous, constantly glancing around. Andre leaned in. Tell me what you meant yesterday. What's going on in Maple Ridge? Clara hesitated, stirring her coffee. Then she whispered, there's a committee. Not official, not on paper. But the Homeowners Association, Maple Ridge Board, they make the real decisions. Realtors like Catherine take their cues from them. Who gets to buy? Who doesn't? Who gets pushed out before they even try? Andre's stomach dropped. So it's a network. Yes, Clara said. I've seen it. A family wanted to buy last year. Black family, doctors, great income. Catherine showed them a different property far away, told them this one was already taken. But it wasn't. Weeks later she sold it to someone else. White couple, connections to the board. Andre's fists tightened. And no one calls her out? Clara shook her head. People are scared. Realtors want to keep their licenses. Assistants like me, we don't have power. But you, she paused, you came prepared. You didn't back down. That's why she tried to break you. Andre exhaled slowly. He could feel the storm building. That evening, Andre received an email from Catherine. Mr. Linton, thank you for attending the showing. After reviewing your documents, I regret to inform you that the property is no longer available. I will keep your information on file should other homes meet your budget range. Andre's eyes burned at the last phrase, your budget range. He knew it was a lie. The house was still on the market. He replied instantly. Ms. Boyd, I am aware the property is still listed publicly. I am prepared to make an offer above asking. Please present this to the seller immediately. Hours later, no response. Instead, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered. Mr. Linton? A male voice, deep, measured. This is Edward Kane, president of the Maple Ridge Board. I hear you've taken interest in one of our homes. Andre froze. Yes. Is that a problem? Edward chuckled softly, but the sound carried a cold edge. Not a problem. Maple Ridge is a very particular community. We value tradition, stability, the kind of neighbors who understand the culture we've built here. Andre's grip tightened on the phone. And what culture is that, Mr. Kane? Pause. Then Edward replied, smooth as silk. The kind that might not be the right fit for everyone. Click. The line went dead. Andre's chest heaved as he set the phone down. It wasn't just Catherine anymore. It was the board, the so-called guardians of Maple Ridge. He paced his apartment, replaying the conversation. The words weren't direct, but the meaning was clear. Stay out. For years, Andre had dealt with subtle walls. Being the only black man in boardrooms, his ideas ignored until someone else repeated them, waiters handing him the check first when he was with white colleagues. But this was a wall with gates and guards. And they weren't hiding it. The next day at work, Andre confided in Maya again. She slapped the table, her eyes blazing. Don't you see? This isn't just about you buying a house. This is about them keeping you out because of who you are. If you let this go, they'll keep doing it to the next person. And the next. Andre rubbed his temples. I don't want to start a war, Maya. Maybe the war already started, she said. You just walked into it. Her words hit deep. Andre realized this wasn't just personal, it was bigger. Andre decided to act. He contacted his bank, drafted a formal offer for the house, above asking price with all documents attached. He sent it directly to Catherine, copying the seller's public email listed in county records. Hours later, Catherine called. Her tone was ice. Mr. Linton, I received your offer. However, the seller has decided to pursue other buyers. Andre replied calmly, the seller hasn't seen my offer yet. Unless you're admitting to withholding it, I suggest you forward it immediately. Silence. Then Catherine hissed, you don't understand how things work here. Andre's voice steadied. Maybe it's time someone did. He hung up. Later that evening, Andre's phone buzzed again. It was Clara. I shouldn't be doing this, she whispered, but I saw Catherine delete your email before it ever reached the seller. She's blocking you. Andre's chest tightened. So the seller doesn't even know? No, Clara said. But listen, if you really want this house, you'll have to go around Catherine. Directly to the seller. And that's dangerous. Andre's voice dropped. Dangerous how? Clara hesitated. The board doesn't like buyers who break their process. People who've tried usually regret it. They find ways to make life difficult. Andre's jaw clenched. Then I guess I'm ready to make things difficult. Andre drafted a letter that night, firm, professional, undeniable. He was ready to hand-deliver it to the seller the next morning. But as he left his apartment the next day, he noticed something odd. His car door was scratched. Deep, deliberate. A note tucked under the wiper read, Stay in your lane. Andre froze, gripping the paper. His stomach churned, but his resolve hardened. He looked up at the horizon, at the direction of Maple Ridge, at the house that had become more than just a dream. They picked the wrong man to scare. The camera would freeze on his face, eyes burning with defiance. Andre stared at the note in his hand, 4 words scrawled in jagged black ink. Stay in your lane. The morning air felt heavy, pressing against his chest. His car door bore a fresh scar, deep enough to show bare metal. Whoever did this wanted him to feel it every time he reached for the handle. Andre's fists trembled, not from fear but from rage. For years he had swallowed slights, ignored whispers, and smiled through disrespect. But this was a line. And lines, once crossed, could not be uncrossed. With the note burning in his pocket, Andre drove to Maple Ridge. The security gates gleamed in the morning sun, guards in crisp uniforms checking each car. Andre's chest tightened, but he rolled down the window. Name? The guard asked flatly. Andre Linton. I'm here to deliver a letter to the owners of 1124 Maple Ridge. The guard glanced at his clipboard, then at Andre. A pause, long, deliberate. Not on the list. Andre leaned forward. I'm not here for a showing. This is a personal delivery. Legal documents. The guard's brow furrowed, but before he could argue, a voice called out from behind. It's fine. Let him through. Andre turned. Clara stood there, her badge clipped to her cardigan, clearly nervous but resolute. The guard frowned but raised the barrier. Andre gave Clara a grateful nod as he drove through. The house looked even grander in daylight, its white walls glowing against the blue sky. Andre parked, straightened his tie, and walked up the marble steps. The door opened before he knocked. A man in his late 60s, silver hair, linen shirt, and kind but tired eyes, stood there. Can I help you? Andre extended the envelope. Mr. Willoughby? My name is Andre Linton. I'm here regarding your property. Mr. Willoughby raised an eyebrow but invited him in. The house smelled faintly of cedar and old books. Andre explained, his interest in the property, the offer he'd submitted, and Catherine's role in blocking it. Mr. Willoughby's eyes narrowed. That's strange. Catherine never mentioned you. She told me the house wasn't attracting serious buyers. Andre handed him the letter. Here's my offer. Above asking price. Pre-approved. Mr. Willoughby scanned the documents, his expression shifting from surprise to admiration. Well, these are in order. Why would she hide this from me? Andre's jaw tightened. I think you know why. Mr. Willoughby sighed, leaning back. Maple Ridge isn't just a neighborhood. Controlled. Catherine works closely with the board. If they don't approve of a buyer, things get complicated. Andre's pulse quickened. So you're saying they decide who belongs? Mr. Willoughby looked away, ashamed. Let's just say, they have ways of discouraging certain buyers. Andre's voice hardened. I'm not going to be discouraged. Outside, Clara waited nervously by her car. When Andre returned, she hurried over. What happened? He read my offer. He didn't even know I existed, Andre said. Catherine never told him. Clara's shoulders slumped. I knew it. She's filtering just like I said. Andre studied her. Why are you helping me, Clara? This could cost you your job. Clara swallowed hard. Because it's wrong. My parents lost a house when I was a kid. Different neighborhood, same tactics. I know what it does to families. I can't just watch it happen again. Her voice cracked slightly, and Andre realized her courage came with fear. Then we fight together, Andre said. That evening, Andre received another call, this time from an unknown number. Mr. Linton, the voice drawled. It was Edward Kane again. I hear you've been making direct contact with sellers. That's unconventional. Andre's voice was steady. It's legal. And my offer is strong. There's no reason I shouldn't be considered. Edward chuckled softly. Strong on paper, perhaps. But Maple Ridge isn't just about paper. It's about harmony. Community. People who understand their place. Andre bristled. And where do you think my place is? A pause, then Edward's voice lowered, cold as stone. Not here. The line clicked dead. The next morning, Andre arrived at work to find his parking space blocked. A citation for unauthorized vehicle hung on his windshield, false since his car was registered. Later, an email arrived from HR. We've received anonymous complaints regarding your conduct outside of work. Please schedule a meeting. Andre's hands shook as he read it. The timing was no coincidence. Someone was pulling strings. Maya stormed into his office when she heard. They're trying to break you down. First your car, now your job. This isn't random, Andre. It's coordinated. Andre rubbed his temples. But how? How do they have this much reach? Maya leaned closer. Because power doesn't always sit in government buildings or corner offices. Sometimes it sits behind white fences and country clubs. And that's exactly what Maple Ridge is. Later that evening, Andre met Clara again in the cafe. Her hands trembled as she stirred her tea. "I need to tell you something," she whispered. "The board, they have files. On buyers. Background checks, financials, even personal details. They vet everyone before a sale. Catherine didn't just guess you couldn't afford it. She already knew everything about you." Andre's stomach dropped. "How?" Clara's eyes darted around. "They have connections. Banks, credit agencies, even people in city offices. It's not just about money, it's about control." Andre leaned in, voice low. "Then we expose them." Clara's eyes widened. "If you do that, they'll come after you harder. They protect their image at all costs." Andre's jaw tightened. "Let them try." A week later, Mr. Willoughby called Andre. "I've thought about your offer," he said. "And frankly, it's the strongest one I've received. I'd like to move forward." "But," his voice faltered. "But what?" Andre pressed. "The board is already pressuring me. They say selling to you would upset the balance. They've hinted at raising my HOA fees, blocking repairs, even stalling permits if I proceed." Andre's chest burned with anger. "So they're extorting you?" Mr. Willoughby sighed. "Yes. And I'm an old man. I don't have the fight in me." Andre closed his eyes. He could almost feel the victory slipping. But then Mr. Willoughby added, "Still, part of me wants to do what's right. Even if it costs me." Andre's eyes snapped open. "Then let's do it together." That night, Andre returned home to find an envelope slid under his door. Inside was a single sheet of paper with bold black letters. "Final warning. Walk away or we'll make sure you never work in this city again." Andre's pulse thundered. This wasn't just about a house anymore. It was about survival, reputation, livelihood. He clenched the paper in his fist, his voice low but steady. "They think they can scare me. But they don't know, I've been fighting my whole life." Andre sat at his kitchen table, the final warning letter spread in front of him. His apartment felt smaller that night, the hum of the refrigerator louder, the ticking clock more relentless. "They'll make sure you never work in the city again." He traced the words with his finger. It wasn't just intimidation, it was a declaration of war. For a moment, fear crept in. What if they could really ruin him? What if everything he had worked for, his career, his reputation, crumbled because of this fight? Then another thought rose, sharper, louder. If I don't fight, they've already won. Andre folded the letter and tucked it into his briefcase. The next day, Andre met Maya during lunch. He slid the note across the table. Her jaw clenched. "These people don't play around. But if they're threatening you this directly, it means they're scared. You've got leverage." Andre leaned forward. "What kind of leverage?" Maya's eyes gleamed. "Exposure. They thrive in silence. You shine a light on what they're doing and suddenly they lose control. But you can't do it alone." Andre frowned. "So what do I do?" Maya smirked. "You build a team. Allies who aren't afraid to speak up." That evening, Andre met Clara again. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. "They know I've been talking to you," she whispered. "Catherine questioned me today. She asked if I'd been too friendly." Andre's stomach tightened. "You're risking too much for me." Clara shook her head. "No. I'm risking it for what's right. But if I go down, I need to know this fight won't stop with me." Andre held her gaze. "It won't." Clara's shoulders eased slightly. Then she pulled a flash drive from her bag. "I copied some files from the office. Catherine's client records, email chains, board meeting notes. It's not everything, but it's proof she's been filtering buyers." Andre's eyes widened. "Clara, this could change everything." Her voice trembled. "It could also destroy me if it gets traced back." Andre closed his hand over the flash drive. "Then I'll protect you." Andre spent the night combing through the files. His living room floor was covered with printed pages and sticky notes. He found email after email, Catherine referring to buyers as not the right fit. Edward Kane reminding her of community standards. Notes about families, mostly black, a few Latino, being steered away from Maple Ridge. The pattern was undeniable. Andre leaned back, heart pounding. He had the truth in his hands. But truth alone wasn't enough. He needed a way to make it count. The next morning, Andre received an email from Mr. Willoughby, the seller. "Mr. Linton, after our conversation I did some digging of my own. I spoke with a neighbor who confirmed what you told me. The board has pressured multiple sellers. Some gave in, some didn't. Those who resisted faced consequences. But I believe you deserve a fair shot. I'd like to meet again. Andre's eyes lit up. Willoughby wasn't just sympathetic, he was ready to stand with him. Later that day, Andre received an unexpected call from Catherine. "Mr. Linton," she said, voice clipped. "We need to talk. Face to face." They met in her office, sleek glass walls, shelves lined with awards. Catherine's smile was brittle. "You've been making waves," she said. "That's not wise. People like you," she paused, then corrected herself. "People without connections, they don't understand how fragile reputations can be." Andre leaned forward. "You mean people like me aren't supposed to fight back?" Her smile faltered. "This isn't about race. It's about culture harmony. Maple Ridge isn't for everyone." Andre pulled the flash drive from his pocket and set it on her desk. Catherine's eyes flickered, recognition flashing across her face. "You've been sloppy," Andre said. "I have your emails. Your notes. Proof that you've been blocking buyers because of who they are. How do you think that'll look in front of a judge? Or the press?" For the first time, Catherine's mask cracked. Her face drained of color. "You wouldn't dare," she whispered. Andre stood. "Watch me." That night, Andre returned home to find his internet cut, his mailbox ripped open, and a citation notice taped to his door, bogus claims of unpaid utilities. The retaliation was swift. Maya called. "They're panicking. That means you hit a nerve. But it also means they'll double down. You need to protect yourself." Andre's voice hardened. "Then it's time to stop playing defense." Andre met with Mr. Willoughby again. The old man's hands trembled slightly as he poured tea. "I've decided," Willoughby said. "I want to sell to you. Not just because your offer is good, but because I'm tired of their control. Tired of being told who I can and can't do business with." Andre felt a swell of gratitude. "You don't know what this means to me." But Willoughby's eyes were heavy. "It won't be easy. The board will come after both of us. Hard." Andre nodded. "Then we'll stand together." As Andre drove home that evening, headlights appeared in his rearview mirror. The car behind him stayed close. Too close. Every turn he made, it followed. His grip on the wheel tightened. He pulled into his apartment complex, but the car didn't stop. It idled at the curb, engine humming. Andre stepped out, his heart racing. The tinted window rolled down just enough to reveal a face in shadow. A voice called out, low and threatening. "You don't know who you're messing with, Linton. Back off now, or you'll regret it." The window rolled up and the car sped away into the night. Andre stood frozen in the parking lot, the echo of the threat hanging in the air. This wasn't just about a house anymore. It was about a battle with people who would stop at nothing to keep their world untouched. The screen would freeze on Andre's face, fear and determination colliding. Andre barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that car idling outside, heard that voice echoing, "You don't know who you're messing with." By sunrise, his exhaustion hardened into resolve. They wanted to intimidate him into silence. Instead, they had given him clarity. He picked up the phone and called Maya. "It's time," he said simply. Maya didn't ask what he meant. She already knew. Andre, Maya, and Clara met in Andre's small apartment. Papers covered the dining table. Copies of Catherine's emails, Maple Ridge board memos, records of rejected offers. Clara's hands shook as she spread them out. "If this gets traced to me," Andre cut in, steady but firm, "then we make sure it doesn't. This story can't be about you. It has to be about the system." Maya nodded. "We packaged the evidence carefully. Enough to show a clear pattern of discrimination without pointing to one single whistleblower. Then we take it to the media." Clara looked terrified but also lighter. Like she'd been carrying a secret for too long. Through Maya's network, Andre was introduced to Naomi Feld, an investigative journalist with a reputation for exposing housing discrimination. They met at a quiet cafe. Naomi listened intently as Andre laid out his story, sliding the flash drive across the table. "Let me be honest," Naomi said. "If what's on here is as strong as you say, this could shake the entire real estate community. But it'll also paint a target on your back." Andre met her gaze. "The target's already there. Might as well make it worth something." Naomi smiled faintly. "I like you. You're stubborn. Stubborn people make good headlines." Meanwhile, Catherine sat in her office, staring at her phone. Word had reached her that Andre had met with a journalist. She dialed Edward Kane. "He's going to the press," she whispered. "He has files, my files. If this gets out, I'm finished. On the other end, Edward's voice was calm, almost cold. Then make sure it doesn't get out. Catherine swallowed. What if I can't? Edward's pause was chilling. Then we'll handle it another way. 2 weeks later, the headline hit local news sites. Discrimination in Maple Ridge? Realtor accused of blocking minority buyers. The article was explosive. It detailed how families of color had been quietly filtered out, how offers had been buried, how the board maintained an invisible wall around Maple Ridge. Andre's name was front and center. His face in the photo, his quotes clear and direct. Everyone deserves a fair chance at home ownership, the article read. This isn't about money, it's about dignity. And I refuse to stay silent. The story spread quickly, but so did the backlash. Online forums lit up with debate. Some supported Andre, praising his courage. Others accused him of playing the race card, twisting the narrative. At work, Andre found colleagues whispering in hallways. HR called him in again, hinting that his extracurricular activities might reflect poorly on the company. Maya urged him not to waver. They'll try to isolate you. Don't let them. But isolation was already creeping in. Friends stopped calling. A longtime client canceled a contract. Even his neighbors looked at him differently. One evening, Clara showed up at Andre's door, pale and trembling. They know, she whispered. Catherine confronted me. She said she knows I leaked the files. Andre's stomach dropped. How? Clara's eyes filled with tears. Someone on the paper must have slipped. Or maybe they traced it. I don't know. But they're threatening to ruin me. To blacklist me from every agency. Andre clenched his fists. You don't deserve this. I'll take the blame. Clara shook her head violently. No. If you do, they'll destroy you too. They already want your career. I don't know if I'm strong enough to keep going. Her voice cracked, and Andre realized this fight wasn't just breaking systems. It was breaking people. The next day, a surprise twist hit the news cycle. Mr. Willoughby had given an interview. The elderly seller confirmed Andre's claims, stating publicly that the board pressured him not to sell to Andre. They told me it would disrupt the balance, he said on camera. That's not a community. That's control. The revelation sent shockwaves through the city. For the first time, Andre wasn't alone in his testimony. Someone from inside Maple Ridge had spoken out. But victory was short-lived. That night, Andre returned home to find his apartment door ajar. His heart raced as he stepped inside. The place had been ransacked, drawers pulled out, papers scattered, computer gone. On the kitchen counter, a single item remained, the final warning letter, taped neatly with new words scrawled beneath. Andre sank into a chair, the weight of it all crashing down. They weren't bluffing. They were inside his life now, tearing it apart piece by piece. Maya arrived minutes later, breathless after his call. She looked around at the wreckage, then at Andre's pale face. This isn't just intimidation anymore, she whispered. This is war. Andre stared at the ruined apartment, then back at Maya. His voice was low, steady, almost too calm. Then we fight like it's war. Andre stood in his ransacked apartment, broken glass crunching underfoot. His laptop was gone, his papers scattered, but the threat letter on the counter spoke louder than the mess. Maya placed a hand on his shoulder. They wanted to scare you out of this fight. Andre's jaw tightened. Then they don't understand me. Fear doesn't stop me, it sharpens me. He looked at the wreckage of his life, then back at her. If they want war, they'll get one. But we're not going to fight in the shadows anymore. We fight in the open. The following week, Maple Ridge hosted a community standards board session at their country club. Normally closed to outsiders, but Andre, armed with proof and Naomi, the journalist at his side, walked in. Gasps spread through the room. Edward Kane sat at the head of the long oak table, his expression like stone. Catherine sat beside him, pale and tense. You don't belong here, Mr. Linton, Edward said coolly. Andre placed a thick folder on the polished surface. Neither does discrimination. But here it is. In your emails, your policies, your records. And today, I'm putting it in the light. Naomi clicked her recorder. Care to comment on how you've denied families entry based on race? The board erupted into protests, half-denials and angry mutters. Catherine's hands shook as she looked at the evidence. Edward, however, didn't flinch. This is slander, he hissed. And slander dies quickly. Andre's voice cut like steel. No. Silence dies. Truth lives. Outside the meeting, Clara broke down in tears. Catherine had discovered her involvement and fired her on the spot. They'll blacklist me from every firm, she whispered to Andre. I gave up everything. Andre's chest ached. No, Clara. You gave this fight a chance. Without you, none of this would have seen daylight. Clara wiped her eyes and for the first time in weeks, her face held peace. Then it was worth it. That evening Mr. Willoughby called Andre. His voice was heavy but certain. They pressured me again today, he said. Told me I'd be shunned if I went through with the sale. But I'm tired of being told who I can do business with. Andre, the house is yours. The papers are signed. Andre felt his throat tighten. You don't know how much this means. It means I'll be facing their anger, Willoughby said. But some things are worth the storm. This is one of them. It was everywhere. News broadcasts, talk shows, community forums. Families who had been denied came forward with their stories. Photos of protesters outside Maple Ridge gates filled social media. For Catherine, it was the end. Within a week, her license was suspended pending investigation. Edward Kane resigned from the board under public pressure. For the first time in its history, Maple Ridge's walls had cracks, and the city could see through them. 2 months later, Andre stood in front of the Maple Ridge house. The sun set behind it, golden light spilling across the lawn. Movers unloaded boxes. Children from nearby homes watched curiously from their yards. Maya carried a box to the porch and grinned. So this is what victory looks like? Andre laughed softly. It looks a lot like cardboard and sweat. Clara pulled up in her old sedan, bringing a plant as a housewarming gift. Her career had taken a hit, but she was rebuilding with another firm that welcomed her. Your first houseplant, she said with a smile. Don't kill it. Andre's chest swelled as he looked around. The house he had fought for, the allies who had stood beside him, the community beginning to see him not as an outsider but a neighbor. That night, Andre stood alone on the porch looking out over Maple Ridge. The fight had cost him dearly, his peace, his privacy, nearly his career. Clara had lost her job. Willoughby had lost old friends. Even Maya had endured threats. But the victory was real. For himself. For those families who had been turned away. For anyone told, you don't belong here. Andre whispered into the cool night air, as though speaking to his father's memory. We belong everywhere. And no one gets to decide otherwise. He turned, stepped inside his new home and closed the door.